The last type of lipid that we're going to discuss are steroids. A steroid contains a steroid nucleus. That contains 3 hexagons and 1 pentagon, labeled A, B, C, and D. And you're going to see this particular structure over and over and over again with steroids. The cholesterol is an example of a steroid, and it's the most abundant steroid in our body. Notice here's the 4 rings, 3 hexagons and a pentagon. There's a carbon chain coming off of it, a couple methyls, double bond here, OH group. It's those differences that are going to determine the difference between one steroid to another steroid. Cholesterols are both in our food and our body makes it in our liver. For example, here is a normal size artery. Cholesterol is plagued with having a bad reputation because people with diets high in fat tend to have clogged arteries. For instance, here's the holes here. It was originally supposed to be this big hole. That's how clogged it can go and get, and that's when you start doing the bypass surgeries. However, it's also needed for some membranes, for brain and nerve tissue. It's not necessarily always a bad thing. Someone who is indicating a high level of cholesterol has more than 2 milligrams per deciliter. And we're going to put that in perspective in a minute when we start looking at how many milligrams of cholesterol are in particular foods. Not only are they in foods, they're also made in our liver. And if you eat foods that are high in saturated fats or unsaturated trans fats, it increases the amount of cholesterol you're going to produce yourself. So you're getting the cholesterol from the food in addition to what your liver is producing. To give you an example, a large egg is 200 milligrams. If you remember, 200 milligrams per deciliter is considered high. Now, keep in perspective that this 200 milligrams is going to be dispersed throughout the body. So it's not going to be 200 milligrams per deciliter, but it will raise it. Fried chicken is 130. A hamburger is 85, but it also has a lot of saturated fats in there too. Which means not only are you getting 85 milligrams from the hamburger itself, but you're also getting even more from what your liver is producing. Also, this is only for 3 ounces. It's considered a serving size. Most burger places will at least give you a 1/4 pound, which is 4 ounces. And then if you go to a restaurant that specializes in meats or something like that, like a steakhouse, they usually give you a 1/2 pound burger or a 1/3 pound burger. So that's 8 ounces. That's nearly 3 times as much cholesterol and as much of a serving as you actually should have. Alright, so let's take a review of the different parts of the cholesterol molecule. Well, if we look at A, well, let's start from the basis of what a steroid is. And that's the steroid nucleus. That's the 4 ring chains. That's C. The carbon chain is the long alkyl group here. Hydroxyl means OH, which is right here at A. And then the methyl group is CH3. Let's take a look at bile salts. This is another example of a steroid. These are made in the liver. And it's a way for our bodies to digest the fats. The fat gets absorbed, or the cholesterol and the fat gets absorbed into the liver, and the liver starts to break it down with the bile salts. However, if you have too much cholesterol, then gallstones could build up inside your liver. And we have another steroid, which are hormones, which are trigger systems in our body to tell things to stop and go, as far as like metabolism, adrenaline, things along those lines. It's a communication system for the body. For instance, androgens are testosterone and androsterone. Estrogens, like progesterone and things like that. Adrenal corticosteroids from the adrenal glands do things like regulate the glucose level. So hormones are not necessarily all sex hormones. They could be a variety of things. However, here are the sex hormones. We have testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, and another synthetic progesterone. This is if a woman is having problems conceiving or something along those lines. The doctor might have the woman have injections of a synthetic progesterone, so that way the egg can hold on a little bit better. Adrenal steroids, made from the adrenal glands, which is right on top of the kidneys. They regulate things like the water balance by the kidneys. They also include cortisone, which regulates the blood glucose levels. Here's how they're laid out. Once again, you're going to see the 4 circular, the 3 hexagons, and the pentagon, the steroid nucleus. Anabolic steroids are what you'll find get some athletes in trouble. They're derivatives of testosterone. Technically, they are illegal to increase the muscle mass, which is why you hear about a lot of athletes getting in trouble for this. They could increase the hair growth, disturb sleep, do some liver damage. There's a lot of side effects to these. Alright, so we're going to break it down and we're going to look at everything that we've looked at so far. Fatty acid steroids or trialkyl glycerols. Cholesterol, we've been talking about, that's a steroid. Stearic acid, that's the carboxylic acid, it's a fatty acid. Glycerol tristearate, that means it's a trialkyl. Estradiol, that's one we just got done talking about, that's a steroid. And contains no fatty acids. The only lipid that doesn't contain a fatty acid is the steroid. And that is the end of the steroid section.